Hi there. During this very quick tutorial, I'm going to take you through the Assessment 2 task, which is the infographic, just so that you have an idea of what the expectations are, and so that you have an idea of how you could go about starting to create your infographic. If we take a look at what the task says, we have to look at the cognitive, physical, social, and emotional development of a case study based on direct and or indirect formal and informal observations. So you may have some direct observations of people with ADHD, which is the one that I'm going to choose, in which case you might be able to add those in. You also have to create a list of recommendations for teachers or caregivers that they can use to help support the issues identified within the case study. Now, the reason why I'm doing this tutorial now is because the due date is the 11th of the 10th, and for some of my classes that is 3 days after I next get to see them, which doesn't give them very much time to put all this together. Note also the importance of the term equivalent to 1,000 words. Now, I take that to mean that if you are quite a bit short of 1,000 words, but you've created some terrific graphics and also created some interesting charts based on information that you've found, then that will equate to a certain number of words. How many words, I can't really say, but I'll get the feel for how much effort you've put in creating all of this stuff, and that will become part of the equivalence to 1,000 words. Now, the case study that I'm going to look at is the one that was provided, which is here, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it refers to a young guy called Ricky, who's a 7-year-old African American male. Now, as I read through this case study, I can see that within the case study a number of things are addressed. So I can see that it does talk about how Ricky goes at school, so I guess you could say his cognitive development is brought up, his social development is certainly brought up, his emotional development is certainly brought up. I haven't read it closely enough to see if the physical development has been brought up. I imagine that it would be. As you read through the case study, it also gives some ideas to where teachers and others can get help or support. I can go and find that stuff out myself anyway. What I have to do is I have to take what's in the case study and make an interesting infographic based on it. So I'm going to take just the very first sentence of the case study. 7-year-old African American male. Straight away I have a question. Now my question is, I wonder how many African American people the ADHD syndrome affects. So I could simply go to Google and I could type in prevalence of ADHD in African American population. The very first thing that comes up is 14.54% for black adults and 13.87% for black children. Okay, now I can go to this site and read more about that. Here I can read more about what data was presented, and I can look at the primary source of that data to make sure that it is accurate data. So I'm pretty happy that it is. So I'm going to take these two percentages, 14.54 and 13.8, so that's about 15 and 14 respectively. I've now got some data that I can create some sort of chart or graph with. I'm going to go into Excel and I'm going to put in that, all right, if 15% of African Americans suffer from ADHD and 14% of African American children suffer from ADHD, that means that no ADHD is 85% and 86% for adults plus children and children only. That's just simple maths. Now, if I've got this, I probably want to go and insert a recommended chart. This chart here looks great. So that's what I'm going to choose. Say OK. I now have some sort of graphic that's going to be of use to me. I'll copy this into the chart title, and I'm happy with that. I need to check my grammar, make sure that it's a capital P prevalence. Okay, now I'm happy with my grammar. So now I have some sort of graphic that will help my infographic look a little bit better. The next thing that I'm thinking is, I wonder how prevalent it is in other communities as well. So I could go here and I could change my search to prevalence of ADHD in various ethnicities. And notice one came up which was about Australia as well, and I might want to look at that. Now this looks interesting. Trends in the prevalence and incidence. It looks like it came from maybe the same document before. If I go to this, okay, look at the prevalence here. Highest prevalence is white individuals. Black individuals is that, and Pacific Islanders, okay, Native Americans and so on. If I drag down and find some information that's a little bit easier to read, okay, so this is a little bit easier to read. So with regard to the ethnicities, with white people, I can see that the final rate is about 18.42%. Those of Asian ethnicity, it's at 7.54%. African Americans, it's 10.76%, and the Hispanics, it's 9.94%, which is quite interesting information. So again, I can take some of that information, white, black and Asian ethnicities. Here's some rough data that I got, and again I can choose this, insert some sort of recommended chart. I like this chart here. I would like to see some percentages in there so I can go and change that after, but that chart's alright for now. And again, I need to give it a title. Here's my title, and again, checking for my grammar, I need to have a capital P, and why not capitalize children and ethnicity as well. There are different schools of thought on what needs to be capitalized in these instances, but I'm happy enough with that. I probably could have also capitalized the W, B and A so that it was a little bit better, and the black might have been African American, and the white I might make it Caucasian, just to make it look a little bit more formal. But I've got this data, so I've got two bits of data now. Now what I want to do is I want to put that into a infographic, so start creating an infographic. I'm going to start creating an infographic. I've typed up some information related to the young boy. I've put in information about the prevalence of ADHD in African Americans, and I've added more information down here, and I also have cited it in some way. And then I've also put in how ADHD changes depending upon ethnicity, and again I've put information in. So this is about 100 words worth, but I can see that with the graphs and all of that that's been included, or the charts that have been included, it is worth substantially more than just 100 words, I would suggest. So I've made my start. I now need to go and find information related to the physical, social, emotional, and again I would just do searches and see if I could find some decent academic papers related to that, or reliable information related to that, and I would continue on making my infographic in that way. Now, as you can see with my infographic, I have put in about 100 words, as I said before, and this has taken up a full page of a Word document. So to be able to fit all of your work into one page is not going to be possible, even if it was A3. So you'll have to be prepared to make your infographic over a number of pages. I would suggest 5 or 6, maybe even a couple more. It depends on the font and all of those other characteristics that you choose to incorporate, because remember, you need to get to around 1,000 indicative words. So, you know, counting pictures and all of that, you'd need at least 5 or 6 pages to get to something close. Now, if you are wondering where to get the resources from for this particular assessment, Assessment 2, if you go to the assessment tile, or over here on the side, the assessment link, it will take you to assessments. Then if you click on Assessment 2 infographic, you can see that there are a number of case studies that you could use for your assignment. You are not limited to just these case studies, but they might be a good place to start. I hope this helps you. Good luck with the assignment, and enjoy your week off. Thanks for watching.